Hey everyone, welcome back to the channel. Today I pay tribute to my first ever guitar hero, Ace Frehley, by reviewing the KISS concert DVD set, Kissology Volume 1. So Ace passed away earlier this year at the age of 74, and these performances really capture the spaceman at his prime during the mid-70s as KISS rocketed to superstardom. The DVDs are housed in a 4-panel digipack that includes a 24-page color booklet containing some vintage photos and written recollections from each band member describing the events contained on the DVDs. It also includes a reproduction of an early KISS backstage pass, which is pretty cool. And this all fits nicely in a sturdy cardboard sleeve. So by the time Kissology Volume 1 was released in 2006, I had already seen some of these performances via the worn-out VHS copies of a friend's bootleg collection, or from watching some of the TV appearances as a little kid. I remember nearly exploding with anticipation, waiting for KISS Meets the Phantom of the Park to first air on TV in 1978. I'm also old enough to remember the release of KISS's self-titled debut album in 1974. And those of you from my generation will probably remember just how rare it actually was to see a live performance by a real rock band on TV when compared to the abundance available pretty much everywhere now. Back in 74, you didn't have the internet, cable TV, or DVDs to rent. You were just held hostage to the handful of channels that the big antenna on your roof could pick up and display on that 15-inch mono black and white television you might be fortunate enough to have had. If you were lucky, you might catch the occasional ABC in concert special, or your parents might let you stay up late to see your favorite band lip sync on Don Kirshner's rock concert. The official KISS videology had been rather disappointing up until this release, especially when it comes to the classic 70s material by the original lineup. That injustice was finally taken care of with the release of Kissology Volume 1, a sprawling 3-disc including the bonus DVD set containing multiple full-length concerts, along with several TV appearances and documentaries. Unfortunately, the production quality of the material only varies between kind of horrible and pretty decent. Don't be expecting some Led Zeppelin DVD quality remastering of these 50-year-old recordings. Jimmy Page may have sold his soul to get that ancient Zeppelin footage to look and sound like it was pretty much recorded yesterday, but Gene and the boys must have ran out of favors. There really are no significant improvements from the VHS recordings of this material, other than some pretty mediocre Dolby 5.1 surround audio mixes, which generally sound quite thin and compressed. Disc 1 starts off with a February 1974 performance of the previously unreleased Acrobat that only a KISS completist could really love, due to the very poor quality source material and the fact that the first half of the song is pretty much missing. The recording is a mix of silent film footage and a radio broadcast, and it is possibly the oldest KISS concert footage available. The following month, KISS showed up on ABC's In Concert TV show and provided an amazing early glimpse into the band's soul. Watch Ace blow Gene a playful kiss as they share a microphone near the end of Nothing to Lose, and Gene reciprocate with a sinister flick of his serpentine tongue. I remember watching the Mike Douglas show with my parents every afternoon after school, but they must have really shielded me from this evil KISS appearance in 1974. Oh, how our parents hated KISS, didn't they? I still remember my best friend's mother making him destroy his satanic Love Gun album. Not just give it away to me, for instance, but destroy it. About half of the interview with Gene Simmons was missing, as well as the kissing contest, but the minute or so you do get is pretty fascinating. It was hilarious to watch Gene ogle 1960s comedy icon Toady Fields as she first stares in bewilderment and then proceeds to rip him with her droll one-liners. He's just a nice Jewish boy. You can't hide the hook. Shows like Mike's always relied on lip-synced performances back then, which was usually pretty lame. But watching KISS unleash Firehouse on the world in 1974 was still quite a treat. KISS showed up on a few other music-based TV shows of the era, including The Midnight Special in 1975 and Don Kirshner's rock concert in 1977. The Midnight Special appearance came on the heels of their Dress to Kill album when they were still a struggling band looking to break out. According to Gene, they were still only making about $75 per week at that point. The show features a killer early performance of She from the new album, as well as their now legendary anthem Black Diamond, which appears a total of 7 times on the 3-disc set. Over the course of 2 short years, KISS went on to release 3 hugely successful albums, Alive, Destroyer, and Rock and Roll Over, which finally launched them to superstardom. The rock concert appearance promoted the new Rock and Roll Over release, and they lip-synced their way through 3 of the album's best songs, including Hard Luck Woman, Love 'Em and Leave 'Em, and I Want You. One of the KISS TV appearances that I do fondly remember as a kid was when they showed up on the Paul Lynde Halloween special in October of 1976. KISS were the perfect Halloween guests, along with Margaret Hamilton, who played the Wicked Witch of the West in The Wizard of Oz, and she was also in full costume. Lynn was the forever center square on the classic game show Hollywood Squares in the 70s, and his quick wit was the perfect antidote to the band's purposely menacing demeanor, which made for a pretty hilarious episode. Although KISS lip-synced 3 songs during the actual broadcast, only one, an abbreviated King of the Nighttime World, is presented here. The So It Goes British TV documentary is one of the rarest inclusions in this set, and it provided an excellent behind-the-scenes look at the band during their first British tour in 1976. The documentary highlight of this package, however, has to go to the fascinating footage of KISS's trip to Cadillac, Michigan on October 9, 1975, to take part in the town high school's homecoming celebration. They mingled with the townspeople all day before eventually performing a climactic concert in the high school gymnasium. The 1,000 or 2,000 people that were actually there has somehow grown into about 100,000 or 200,000 who claim they were actually there. The next morning, a breakfast was held in the band's honor, where the town officials presented KISS with a key to the city. This was after they graciously allowed the band to apply KISS makeup to each and every one of them. Pretty cool. Hearing the football coach talk about how they all played KISS in the locker room to get the team pumped up before each game really brought back fond memories of myself cranking KISS Alive in my bedroom on my stereo before each and every one of my high school hockey games to get pumped up. Believe me, it really worked. In true KISS fashion, a giant helicopter unsuspectingly swooped down onto the football field to pick up the band as they were saying their goodbyes to the town. The KISS phenomenon had officially begun. 4 complete concert performances are included in this package. The January 1975 Winterland San Francisco concert is the earliest and was my absolute favorite of the bunch. Shot in black and white, this ancient footage captures a hungry young band who are already exuding the confident swagger of a group of guys who knew they were about to conquer the world. The performance was remarkably tight and energized, and these early classics never sounded better. At first, I was kind of turned off by the black and white aspect of the film, but it really highlights just how extraordinary the band's performances were before the days of multi-million-dollar stage shows. Surprisingly, the audio for this show was also the best sounding of all the concerts in this package. By the 1976 Cobo Hall concert, KISS was already on the way to becoming the biggest rock band on the planet, thanks to the success of the Alive album, their first album to break the top 10, and the first of many to achieve multi-platinum status. The band was still hungry and had something to prove on this tour, so their performance was on fire, literally. After another dazzling fire-breathing display to close out Firehouse, Gene's hairspray-doused mane catches fire slightly, and you get to see a few seconds of him and his roadie scramble to smother it out. Damn if he didn't even skip a beat, though, as the next song kicked right off without a hitch. Unfortunately, the audio quality for this show sounded pretty horrible, and the video was marred with significant problems. KISS finished up their Rock and Roll Over tour with 3 nights at Tokyo's Budokan Hall in April of '77. This night they played 2 shows, one at 3 p.m. and another at 7 p.m. And the first show was recorded for Japanese TV and is what you see here. The Japanese gave the band a Beatles-like welcome when they arrived at the airport, and their frantic KISS worship is highly evident at this show. Ah, the universal language of rock and roll. The performance was incredible, and this provided the best sounding audio out of the 3 color shows. As with the Cobo Hall concert, the video was very dark and the colors were quite washed out. Only a few months after returning from Japan and the Rock and Roll Over tour, KISS managed to record and release the new Love Gun album in July of '77 and immediately hit the road once again. The September 1977 Houston Summit show captures a killer performance from that tour, although the stage show was very similar to what they were using on the Japanese leg of the Rock and Roll Over tour. The Love Gun tour added some flashing lights on the staircases, as well as 2 lifts that lowered Gene, Paul, and Ace during the show opener, I Stole Your Love. This probably saved them from having to walk down those large staircases in their 7-inch heels while simultaneously playing their guitars. This, I'm sure, saved a few tumbles down those stairs, which Paul has even actually succumbed to before, according to him. The video quality was a slight improvement over the Budokan recording, but the audio quality took a step backwards again, sounding very anemic and, well, just not well mixed. The bonus DVD included in my Kissology package was a December 20, 1977 concert at the old Capitol Center in Largo, Maryland. I saw some of the best concerts of my life at this former home of the Washington Bullets and Capitals, including Rush's incredible Counterparts tour. This disc is really just a bit overkill, though, as it is essentially just an abbreviated version of the Houston Summit show with even poorer production quality. The only audio mix provided on that one is Dolby Stereo, and it sounds pretty bad. Kissology comes with a choice of 3 bonus discs depending on where they are purchased from. The Capitol Center, Largo, Maryland, 77, Madison Square Garden, New York, 77, or Cobo Hall, Detroit, 1976. None of the DVDs include the complete concert, and the Largo show was the longest at 56 minutes. Kissology Volume 1 is an extraordinary DVD package containing enough material to keep KISS fans entertained for days. Sure, the video quality is generally terrible, and most of the 5.1 tracks sound like they're coming from a cheap boombox, but hell, these recordings are all 50 years old. There is an audio commentary track supplied for most of the material, which features Gene Simmons and Paul Stanley, but there are some extremely long periods of silence, and what you do get is not exactly overly insightful. The set list included the bonus DVD, featured over 80 songs, interviews and documentaries, and was about 400 minutes in duration. As for my ratings of this DVD set, my overall production rating is a 5 out of 10, and my overall performance rating is an 8 out of 10. So Kissology Volume 1 is a must-have for us KISS fans who have been around from the beginning, and is the perfect way to spend an evening raising a few pints to the late great Ace Frehley. All right, that's it from me today. Let me know your thoughts on Kissology Volume 1 in the comments. And please don't forget to like and subscribe for more. Thanks, and catch you guys next time.